Overheard. On Tony Katz Today.
Hey, read any good tweets lately? Huh? Well, if you're just playing catch-up, let me just tell you, it was quite the whoopity-doo of a weekend for Donald J. Trump, LeBron James, and the fine Justice Journalists of America. Now, before I go further, perhaps I should back up and explain in case you haven't heard tell of the Twitter. See, Twitter is part of this newfangled social media where individuals can post anything and everything that pops into their head as long as what's being said is under 280 characters.
Donald Trump's a member of the KKK.
Barack Obama was born in Kenya.
I forgot how much I like blueberries.
And because there's no filter between the ultra-narcissistic individual and the global platform that allows them to express their views and opinions, Twitter tends to be a place that no clear-thinking politician should go anywhere near when in a highly emotional state. Especially the President of the United States! Yes, but no matter how much begging and pleading Trump's advisors, friends, associates, lawyers, supporters, children, or spouse subject him to, the president just will not give his thumbs a rest.
Whatever, I do what I want.
Over the weekend, NBA superstar LeBron James gave an interview to the esteemed CNN journalist Don Lemon. If you're not familiar with Don, here are a few highlights from his rich career. Quite moving stuff, huh? Here's a prolific moment from his interview with former Milwaukee Sheriff David Clark.
Do we know that generally the American law enforcement officers are racist? Do we know this?
Go on.
Awesome stuff. And one thing I do want to acknowledge about Don Lemon that I really respect is that he does not participate in race baiting nor play the game of political divisiveness. Like when he interviewed his coworker Jeffrey Lord on his show to complain about Lord comparing Trump to Martin Luther King.
That comparison was insulting, and you're ignoring it. Don't you think you should take that into consideration, whether or not you're trying to make a point or not, even if it's to the point that if I offended you, I'm sorry.
Don, when I lived as a teenager in the South and my dad lost his job standing up for a black waitress.
You're not answering my question now. You're not answering my question in the moment.
I am answering
Don't
your
take
question,
me back
Don.
to some before the war crap. I want to hear what you're saying to the coworkers you work with now, Jeffrey. Answer the question now. I don't want to hear about stuff from 50 damn years ago.
Unless, of course, it involves the leader of the civil rights movement 50 years ago and how offended Don is that you would compare him to Donald Trump. By the way, does it strike anyone as odd that Don Lemon, such a champion of the free press and critic of Donald Trump for his alleged attempts to stifle the free press, would then go on to shout down his coworker and criticize him for invoking his right to free speech in his capacity as a member of the free press? You know, I think Gomer Pyle said it best.
There are two sets of laws. One for the liberal and one for the ordinary citizen.
Anyhow, Don Lemon sat down with LeBron James. During the interview, Basketball Boy had this to say.
You know, we are in a position right now in America, more importantly, where this race thing is taking over, you know, and because I believe our president is kind of trying to divide us. But I think
kind of.
Yeah, is. Not, I don't want to say kind of.
Anyhow, it was mere seconds before Trump took to Twitter and said, quote, LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. Now, look, I'm not going to defend the president's tweet. I hate that he tweets. Life as a conservative and Trump supporter would be far less complicated had the president been born without thumbs. That said, liberals calling the president's comments racist do ever so kindly shut up. Your hero LBJ was a racist, and evidence shows one-time member of the KKK who, after his supposed born-again transformation, said in a conversation to his mentor and Southern segregation Democrat Richard Russell, the, quote, N-words are getting too uppity. Woodrow Wilson's screening of a pro-KKK movie at the White House led to a massive revival of the Klan, which was practically defunct before Woodrow gave it a boost. FDR put the Japanese in internment camps. Evidence shows Truman was a nominal member of the KKK and worked behind the scenes to block anti-lynching legislation. Democrats were the party of slavery and segregation. Yes, Democrats have a long and willfully forgotten legacy of oppressing minorities and supporting systemic racism. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was never accused of racism prior to being elected president, and his policies, particularly economic, have done more to support minorities than anything Barack Obama did in his pathetic 8 years in the White House. Perhaps that's why Donald Trump is currently presiding over the lowest unemployment rate for blacks and Hispanics in recorded history. So liberals, if I can humbly make this request, get off your high horse, all right? Besides, don't you have more important things to do, like jailing people for plastic straws?